Okay, this is going to be a quick video on the pros and cons of thrusts. Thrusts, of course, are very straightforward. I mean, it's the most direct kind of attack you can make. A cut always has to travel further, whereas thrust, a line is the shortest distance between 2 points. One of the drawbacks is the thrust doesn't have stopping power. It's lethal, of course. In fact, it was generally considered the most lethal kind of attack because they just didn't have the medical knowledge at the time and technology to deal with things like internal bleeding, and the stab wounds were very hard for them to fix. So there's that. But if I say I catch him in a moment unaware and I run him through, he's still going to continue his cut. There's nothing physically stopping him from executing that cut. He's gonna die, yes, he has a sword in his chest, but I probably also don't have a head anymore. Whereas with certain cuts, you can completely avoid that. If I see him throw a downward cut and I just cut at his arms, they're gonna be gone. It's not gonna happen. Also, cuts to the leg, for example, if he throws that cut at me and I sidestep and I cut to his leg. And ideally, sidestepping already takes care of that. But even if I don't, this would just collapse his structure. Suddenly his leg is gone. He supports his weight on his leg. Suddenly it's half cut through or entirely gone. He collapses. He cannot execute that cut. So it's safer in that regard. However, in some situations, this can be very safe if you have constrainment. If he is in long point, I'm here and I get constrainment, this is a covered thrust. So this is one of the safest things I can possibly do, because it doesn't matter how much he struggles at that point. If I have constrainment, he can push as much as you want, it's not going to happen. And as I push in, I'm just forcing his sword to the side. So absolutely nothing he can do. So that's a good thing. One other drawback of the thrust is it requires more accuracy, because since you are going in that line, you're aiming at a point, basically, whereas the cut is an entire arc. It covers everything. If he tries to sidestep, this is still getting him. Whereas with a thrust, if I thrust at him and he sidesteps, there we go. Of course, the thrust also works from more covered positions. Like, for example, if I am in long point, I can't cut from here, not without first going into another guard. So I can thrust from here, however. There are some positions from which I can thrust but not strike. Let's say I throw an undercut and he steps back. Throwing another cut would take a lot more time than simply chasing after him with a thrust. So obviously, pointing out pros and cons is not trying to argue that you should use one more than the other. No. Cuts and thrusts they go hand in hand. You need both. That's pretty much it. So thanks for the help, Stuart, and thanks for watching.